It seems like a very long time ago when Lenovo introduced that original 13-inch Yoga. Today, late 2016, we've got the Kaby Lake version of the Yoga 510, a 15.6-inch version with full HD screen, Core i5 inside, 256 gigs of SSD, and even a discrete graphics card for €800. That's not a bad price. Take a look at this 1-minute overview video I've got for you, and then come back and we'll take a look at some of the test results from the Notebook Check test. Don't forget to like and don't forget to subscribe if you want more from Notebook Check Tech Reviews. So here it is, the Lenovo Yoga 510 15.6-inch version with the full HD screen. If you know what yoga means, you'll know it means that. If you don't know what yoga means, that's what it means. It's basically a 2-in-1, 360-degree foldable with a questionable tablet use, because this is 2 kilos in weight. Although having said that, it can be used on a table like that. More likely, as this really isn't a pen enabled device, to use it like this in what I call the coffee table mode, where you can look at news, read articles in your social media streams without having that keyboard. It works really well on a seat back, and these fold back devices can be pretty flexible in that respect. 2 kilos for a 15.6-inch isn't too bad. We've done a full suite of test results on this, from the processor through to that discrete graphics card. It's an AMD graphics card, which doesn't really bring too much performance over the built-in graphics card, and you kind of question why that's there, because it's going to drag the power, drag the battery life down and the power usage up, and it doesn't really give you too much. It might be a little bit of marketing going on there. They might have just put that low-cost one in there, very low cost, because it's effectively a previous generation of graphics card that's been rebadged, renumbered, and in fact if you look at the device manager on this, you'll see it with the old name. But we've done some test results for you on games. I'll take a look at those in a minute. Let's talk about the keyboard and the screen. Screen is a little bit of a problem. It's not that it's not accurate, it's just that it's a little bit low brightness. Contrast is okay, over 1,000 to 1, so that's nice. And the accuracy of the colors you get, are pretty good. Having said that, when we look at color space, it's not really covering a lot of it. So there are colors that this screen won't be able to bring you, and although it's fairly good indoors for some office work, if you're into photo editing or any sort of high-level video editing and you want to have accurate colors while you're working, then the screen might not be for you. There's a fingerprint reader on this that works pretty well to access through Windows Hello. There is a version of this that doesn't have the fingerprint reader, and in fact Yoga on its website shows a version without a fingerprint reader. But I think the fingerprint reader is actually quite a nice addition. For those of you that are used to it on smartphones, it's about time that this sort of quick fingerprint reader was available on a consumer laptop. The keyboard doesn't have a backlight, and it does feel, for me, a little bit cheap, a little bit low end. There's a bit of flex, not too much in the middle, about 1 millimeter of travel on the keys, and that touchpad is not huge, and it's got built-in touch buttons, keypad buttons, mouse buttons, whatever you want to call them, that aren't that well defined in my opinion. So it's an average keyboard, and that screen is fairly average as well. So this user space is average. But average works pretty well in the office where you're not looking for high accuracy, high brightness screens, and you might even be connecting this to an external keyboard and an external screen. So in that respect, that really doesn't matter. Let's have a look at some of the ports. So starting from this side then, there's the power button. There's a couple of USB 3 ports there, no USB-C connectivity, HDMI out, and gigabit Ethernet port there. On the other side, you can have a look to see an SD card reader, which is actually pretty fast, or let's say it's not hyper fast, but it's not that slow, sort of 20-30 megabytes a second. We're up to about 70 megabytes a second on this SD card reader. So for actually loading in and working on sort of home photos, this is actually pretty good. There's another USB port which is fully powered, so you can charge while the device is off, and there's the power DC input there. On the bottom of the device, you can get the back off, and if you look at the picture that I'll just put up there, you'll see that there's a 2.5-inch SSD, SATA SSD, so you could swap that out fairly cheaply and upgrade this 256 gig SSD to either a terabyte HD SSD, hard drive SSD, or a half terabyte SSD at fairly low cost. There's one memory card slot, so it's not dual channel RAM, so you would be able to access that and swap it out if it breaks. There's a battery in there that's accessible through screw access, so a little bit of accessibility in terms of upgrade and cleaning. You can access the fans on it as well, but it is quite difficult to get the back off this. On performance, we've got that Kaby Lake Core i5 in there, and actually on that test result you can see there, it compares pretty well to some of its competitors. But this is a dual-core Ultrabook style processor, optimized really for battery life. I'll talk about battery life in a minute, rather than the ultimate processing power. Plenty more CPU and GPU tests on the website. I'll show you some gaming results in a minute, but first that SSD. Good speeds around on the SSD, nothing to complain about there, and that helps push things like the PC Mark scores up to a reasonably high level. There's the gaming test result selection for you. A lot of games tested on the Notebook Check review, and you'll see not much green. It's really 3066 by 768 entry-level gaming, which is interesting because that's probably what the built-in GPU from Intel would achieve as well. Okay, a tick more, 10-15% maybe more on that GPU, but it's not really bringing in medium-range gaming, which you kind of expect from a discrete GPU. So it's fairly quiet in operation. There's no heat issues there. When we had it under our full load test, we reached mid-40s in terms of the highest temperatures that we could measure. That's not too bad. Let's talk about that battery life, though, in our Wi-Fi 150 nits test. That's a test in sort of average indoor conditions. We got over 5 hours worth of Wi-Fi browsing. 5 hours, 20 minutes isn't really the best we've seen for 2 kilograms of weight. Considering, though, what you've got in here and the big screen and the GPU, it's not surprising. 5.5 hours is what I would expect from something with this sort of build. So that's really not too bad, 5 hours, 20 minutes. So just to summarize for you again, this is really going to be a home office style device. It's quite attractive and could be something you could use from the home, take it to the office, plug keyboard, mouse and a proper screen onto it and work pretty well because the internals of this are solid. The SSD is good, the GPU and the CPU are okay for office work. No problems at all there. Price is actually pretty good as well. So I would look out for offers on this one. $799 is the price we saw when we tested it. I've got a feeling this might be one that you'll see on Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend, and leading up to Christmas, maybe a few offers. It just hits that market, that consumer market, quite nicely. Our overall score was 78% because of some of the issues we saw. Basically, that fairly restricted screen in terms of brightness and color space, the fact that it didn't have USB-C, the fact that you can't easily get the back off, and a couple of other things you'll see on the cons list as well. If you are interested, don't forget to check out the full review on Notebook Check. Plenty more information on the whole system, including tests on noise and the built-in speakers as well. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, if you got something out of it. If you've got one of these, don't forget to give us some feedback. We'd love to hear what you think of it. And don't forget to subscribe to get notifications of more Notebook Check tech reviews. Thanks for watching.